What's up, everybody? I'm back for another PG Sports podcast. Our special guest today is Danny New, former pro hockey player. He played in the AHL, ECHL. I got that right. And yeah, it's going to be dope. First hockey player interviewed. About to send him the thing right now. Where's he at? There he is. Oh, here he is. He's already in here. Yo. Yo, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Paul? How are you, man?
Good, how about you?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, buddy.
Yeah, I just had a malfunction. I was trying to make a dope TikTok, and I was making a protein shake, and I was like, you know what? It's always like people are always shaking it crazy. I was like, let me, and they're usually hard to open, right?
Yeah,
Bottles. I was like,
yeah, for sure.
I was like, let me throw it against my door. Splattered all over the place.
Good stuff. At least you're still eating healthy, eh? Some protein shakes and
trying. That's what I'm getting back onto now. I was eating like crap, so I had to
dude,
go
those
back.
hats are dope, man. You're gonna have to send me one.
Yeah, I got you. Appreciate it. Yeah. So what have you been up to during this quarantine?
Oh man, it's kind of a grind. I'm just I'm out just at the house working from home. We shut down probably around March 12th or so at work, and I don't know. It's kind of hard to stay focused here, but
yeah.
you know, you do the best you can.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. We're already 1 month deep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky enough to I have a little home gym here, so I get to stay busy with that. Go outside and hit some golf balls around the backyard, but it's tough. You gotta find stuff to do to keep yourself busy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we got a while, even though it's been a while.
I know. I'm hearing another month or so at least, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm hearing things too. Like they're not saying it's not gonna go back to normal for like maybe like years or like a year. So it's pretty weird.
It's tough because there's nothing to watch, man. Like there's no sports, there's no hockey, there's no basketball, there's no baseball. It's like you gotta. I think I was watching the 2016 NBA Finals the other night on ESPN, and I was like I was actually watching Game 7 as if I didn't even know who won it. It was actually kind of funny, but.
Yeah. What's up, Jason?
J-Tor. Deebs, what's up?
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. Did you see the horse competition the other day?
No, like a race? Like what do you?
No. Like they played horse like basketball.
Oh, I heard they were gonna do that, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, it was pretty weirdly brutal.
Really? Who were the shooters?
Chris Paul, Mike Conley. Then they had some like retired players like Chauncey Billups and Paul Pierce.
That's pretty cool. Did they raise money or anything, or was it just kind of like that?
I don't know. That's what they probably should have done. Maybe that's what they're probably gonna do. Hopefully. But
yeah.
It was like outside. It was like they were outside in the courts. Like they didn't even have like the right courts, and I don't know. It was weird. But it was cool too.
Bringing it back.
Yeah, they were trying to. Yeah, they're trying though. It's cool. So yeah, let's jump into your hockey career a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you first get involved playing hockey?
I think I first started playing locally just around here in New York. I grew up in Westchester. I probably started skating around 4 or 5 years old, house leagues and whatnot, and just kind of took off. And my dad was pretty big in getting me into hockey. My brother and I played. My oldest sister played, and I was just kind of a rink rat. So, just that's how it all began.
Yeah, I feel you. What about what was your recruiting process like?
Recruiting process going to college?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up playing at Providence College, and before that, I went to a prep school called Avon Old Farms in Connecticut. It's a boarding school for boys. It's all boys, and when I was playing there, we had some good teams, some really good players that made me look extra good, and probably got me recruited. So I have to give a shout out to some of the guys on that team who helped us win a couple championships and get me some looks. But it was a fun time to be there. We were pretty good, and it was an exciting time. Making like official visits and stuff, and the recruiting process with Providence just went well, and I just kind of fell in love with it there. So that's the one I picked.
Yeah. What was like your final three schools? Or final
My
two?
final three schools were actually Providence, Northeastern, and Quinnipiac.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so Quinnipiac was close to home, and they had I think they were like 5 or 6 years into that brand new beautiful building that they have there, so that was exciting. And then, but then I think it ultimately came down to Providence and Northeastern were the last two. So yeah.
gotcha.
hmm
Yeah. And for those that don't know, there's only I don't even know what the number is, but it's a small number of D1 hockey schools. Maybe I don't even know. Do you know the number?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess probably somewhere between 55 and 60 Division I
Yeah.
schools now. There's a bunch of different, obviously, I'm sure there's a bunch of athletes on here that know how it's broken down. But
Right.
the school that I played at was in a league called Hockey East, similar to the Big East, and there's about 12 teams in that one now. But since I stopped playing, since I got out of school, I think there's now, I think Penn State has a team. Well, I know Penn State has a team. Arizona State has a team. So,
That was
a
the
lot
weirdest one I saw. Arizona State get a
and they're
season.
really good.
Yeah.
They're damn good. So
Yeah.
it's good to see, man. The game's growing, so it's awesome.
Well, yeah, I think that's like one of the number one party schools, so I'm sure a lot of people want to go there.
I can't even imagine like playing at a school like that. Providence was only 5,000 kids or less. So did we get decent fans? Yeah, every once in a while. But I mean, could you imagine going to like an Arizona State post hockey party? That'd be pretty fun.
It'd be crazy. Yeah, to warm out all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
What about what was your experience like at Providence?
It was great. We were kind of, my first 2 years, we were kind of like middle of the pack to the bottom of the barrel in the league. And we had a lot of good players in our team. It's just like we were having a tough time finding some success, but selfishly, it was really good for me because I only missed maybe a couple games my freshman year due to like getting healthy scratched or just not getting any playing time. And then after that, it was kind of like the floodgates opened for me, and I was able to just get a lot of playing time and playing against good competition, you just get a lot better. So hockey wise, it was good. I think I grew as a hockey player pretty quickly and, getting put into a role and kind of, for lack of a better term, then taking the leash off and letting you do what you got to do out there. But, but then like school wise and friends and fun, I mean, that place was just it was a great place to go to school. I really enjoyed it. Small classes, really, and then, maybe 1,000+ kids a grade. So you kind of got to know a lot of the students, got to know like the fan base that would come to your games. So I thought that was, I liked the atmosphere there. It was a great place to go to school.
Yeah. And you were, like, how old were you when you started college? Because I know sometimes hockey players are like a little older.
Yeah, exactly. So they are, you're right.
Yeah.
I did one extra year of high school. So I repeated my sophomore year. It's just kind of something that like hockey players do. Not all of them, but some of them do. And I went in at 19. So I turned 19 going into school. Just one extra year. But you're right. I mean, there were kids on my team that came into school who were probably like 20, 21 entering school, which is, it's kind of funny to think about.
Yeah. I remember my senior year, I just turned either 21 or 20, or maybe I just turned 22. And the kid sitting next to me, he was like, "Oh, what's up?" Like, "Yeah, I just got here. I'm a freshman and play on the hockey team." I was like, "Oh, nice." So he's like, "Yeah, I just turned 21." And I was like, "Damn."
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, I'm about to graduate. I'm 22 and you're 21. That was like, that kind of sucks. But
yeah,
so, yeah, you were good though. You were still that wasn't that much 1 year.
Yeah, it was good. I was happy to go in there. I was happy to go in there at that age. I think one extra year helped me a lot. And then I was also excited with my decision that I didn't play like 2 years extra of junior because, I was already playing in the minor professional leagues at that age instead of graduating at like 25. So, but yeah, it was.
Yeah. Do you think, like in general, you think that might set back people's lives?
You know what? That's a good question. I can't, because I didn't experience, graduating at 24 or 25, but I don't think it's a setback because first of all, I think, whatever age it is, you get to, play your sport in college, I think is a great achievement. If you're, like talking now from a view of like having a job in financial services, like, yes, most kids that come out of school at 21, 22, they work those, like, you know, they grind it out until they're like 30, and then they get like the bigger promotions and the bigger jobs, whatever it may be. But if you're playing hockey until you're 27, 28, you know, or graduating at 25, you know, going to get your first job, you may be a little bit older than some of those kids who've already had that experience. But I don't think it's a setback. I mean, at the end of the day, you just finished 4 years of a Division I sport, so it's pretty good accomplishment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What about, what was the transition like going from college to playing pro?
Yeah, it was definitely a big transition for me. I mean, first of all, I left school graduated in 2012. So when I graduated, the NHL was going through a lockout, which I probably wasn't an NHL like prospect on any team's eyes at that point. But what the problem was, a lot of NHL players were being pushed down to the American Hockey League, and American Hockey League players were pushing down to the coast. So you think about it, the East Coast Hockey League, the second, like the AA Premier League in pro. So everyone was getting kind of pushed down. So you know, so it was a very crammed situation. So I thought, like leaving school at that particular year was just an unlucky kind of place, because I went and played in the East Coast Hockey League for a while until the lockout broke. And then once the lockout broke, I was already signed with an AHL team, so then I got bumped up to there. But so that was one narrative that was difficult. But going from college to that level, I think it was, I would say it was almost a little bit easy. It's weird to say this, but it was almost easier because players at that level are so good. They're so positionally sound, and they're just so skilled, and everything makes the game a little bit easier when you're playing with really good players.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was definitely like a level faster. Guys are making better, more cerebral plays, better passers, better shooters. So it was definitely a difficult jump, but at the same time, you know, it was challenging and fun. I mean, it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because I always hear that in like minor league baseball, because like actually as you go up, the pitching gets better, but they're more accurate, so they're not like crazy. So like you have a better chance of hitting it, I guess.
Yeah, and another thing about that is like you're probably like safer to go up to the plate, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like you don't want some guy who can just throw absolute gas throwing a night like at your head or your legs or your hands. And then the same thing in college. In college hockey, everyone always says like, guys are running around looking to take your head off because the bottom two lines in college hockey, like your forwards that are from like forwards 6 through 9 and 9 through 12 are probably running around to like get a big hit, psych up the bench. They're not always like your top scorer. So when those lines were on the ice in college hockey, you're kind of like looking over your shoulder so you don't get killed every shift. And then in pro, like a lot of those guys are still really good players trying to get some points and work themselves up to the next level or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I also saw in college you were named captain. What would that mean to you?
Yeah. So my senior year, I was captain, and it was just an honor, man. It was really cool because I had a really tight knit group of classmates that I had gone into school with. So like, just having like their approval, kind of voting for me as a captain and going to bat for me and telling we had a new coach our senior year, telling him that like I was a worthy captain was, it was just an honor. And then the guys under you who you just meet or like the freshmen that are just coming in and the sophomores and juniors that you already played with for a year, saying that you're a admirable captain. I mean, it's just it's a nice pat on the back, and it was a great honor. I still have the jersey hanging in my house, and it's good memories for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. What about like what was life in the AHL like?
The AHL is a funny league, man. It's there's a couple different acronyms they use, but one we used was the Always Hungry League. Just because everyone out there is like, think about it, right? Just like you mentioned minor pro baseball, everyone is trying to get to the next level every single night. So someone's looking to take your head off. Someone's looking to score an extra goal, get extra points, maybe be a little bit selfish out there when they have the puck on their stick. But It's a hell of a league. I had a great experience because, you're living with guys. You're not really making anywhere close to NHL money. So it's still almost a college feel when you're kind of like living together with these guys and bussing all over the place. And, you're taking long bus rides and you're guys are drinking on the, after games, we're drinking on the bus, we're playing cards, we're laughing it up, telling stories. And what do you do for 6-7 hours on bus rides between cities, right?
Yeah.
One thing that guys always called the bus was the old bone rattler, because, sometimes you'd be sleeping on the bus in the middle of the night and it would hit the rumble strip on the side of the road and you wake up and you're bouncing around. I mean, I'm sure some of these minor league baseball guys, go through the same exact thing, because, it's definitely not an easy league on the body either, because you play you usually play like maybe a weekday game, and then you'll play definitely Friday and Saturday night. And sometimes you'll play what you call a 3 and 3. So you'll play Friday night, Saturday night, and then you'll play Sunday matinee at like a Sunday, like 2, 3, 4 o'clock. So and usually it's, if it's on the road, you're just like, oh my God, this is such a grind. You're getting coffees before the game. You're taking Sudafeds. You're taking anything to get a little buzz going. So it's pretty funny.
Did you guys fly in the AHL or no?
A lot of teams did. So the Western Division, they flew a lot because they had to, they had a little bit more distance to cover travel wise. But I was actually in the Eastern Conference, and we didn't fly all that much. We maybe flew to, we would fly to a couple places in Canada. Like we would go to St. John's, which is an island off of Newfoundland. Yep. And then we would fly, I think we went down south once or twice to maybe Virginia, North Carolina, and we would fly there. But other than that, we mostly just took the bus, because most trips were, the longest bus ride in the AHL was usually about 6 hours, and the shortest was maybe like an hour up to just some close teams. But when you're in the East Coast Hockey League, like a lot of teams fly, because sometimes you're going from like Florida to New York, or just crazy travel. But they also drive on what you call a sleeper bus in those leagues. And those are you basically get on the bus, you go to sleep, and you wake up in a new city 14 hours away. It's insane.
Yeah,
it is fun.
Yeah, someone asked how important is it to get your rest and stay disciplined?
Oh man, it is tough. I mean, because a lot of times, like I said, Friday night, Saturday night game, you're busing somewhere Friday, Saturday night, and then you're busing somewhere Saturday to Sunday to play. So trying to find that sleep on the weekend is so important. Pre-game naps are like something that most guys really get their best sleep in, like 3 hours before a game. But during the week, you're at the end of the day, you're trying to become like the best pro athlete you can become, right? You're trying to go to the next level. So guys who take it really seriously are, staying in, they're getting their rest. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of times where the boys get together quite a bit, go out to some local bars and drink and shoot the shit and chirp your coaches and make fun of guys. And, you're living the life a little bit, but yeah, taking care of your body is like, it's funny though, because like a lot of times you'll be sitting around talking with guys and you're like, man, we trained so hard in the summers. Like in the summers, we'd be like, I went to this trainer in Connecticut. His name is Ben Prentice. He's like super successful trainer. He has all these NHL guys, and a lot of the guys in this area, we all train together, and we'd go to Ben, and we'd be like dieting during the summer, lifting 4 days a week, training, going on the ice, on and off the ice training, all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, like this hockey season would come around, and you'd get together with your teammates, and the first thing you want to do is like, all right, boys, let's go. We're going to a bar tonight. We're going out, it's crazy. Like even during training camp, we're like going out to like clubs and bars, and just like, it's just, I guess it's a little bit of the lifestyle, but it was a good time, man.
What about did the AHL have like adequate staff, like you said, for recovery and stuff, like trainers or like
dude, A plus across the board. Like, it was, these teams, like shit, AHL is a serious setup. I mean, they have equipment managers, and like there's never a day where you don't have like good gear, fresh sticks, clean laundry, towel, like everything you can imagine going into like a clubhouse and having it. You know what I mean? Like don't like obviously the majors are like that on steroids, but in the American Hockey League you get treated very, very well in terms of like recovery stuff. Yeah, there's trainers, there's like massage therapists. There's if you got to go see a doctor, like you got to go to MRI, if you got to go to X-ray. I mean, like you are like in and out of there in a second. Like they you get the hookup when you're on these teams, and so any kind of medical or like I said, recoveries, and we had massage therapists like every single game with us. It was great. It was unbelievable. I miss it nowadays.
Yeah.
Sitting at your desk all day, and you come home and you're like, my back is killing me. And you're like, you wish someone would give you a little back rub.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, it sounds like AHL is way better than like AAA baseball.
That's what I've heard. I heard AAA baseball is an absolute grind. Yeah. I
because I know it's like AHL is like the highest, and I know AAA is the highest, but I know like it's like I feel like there's a bigger gap between AAA and MLB than AHL and NHL. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there is. I don't know. I couldn't speak to like
not talent wise. I'm saying like in the stuff that they get.
Well, just to kind of reiterate what you're saying there. Like when I played in Binghamton, New York. So the AHL team there was affiliated with the Ottawa Senators of the NHL, and in that same town there was the Binghamton Mets.
Yeah.
So like when at the end of our season in Binghamton, our hockey season, like the Bingo Mets players would be up there training, playing games, and I think one year we went pretty deep. Well, not deep, but we had a maybe second round of playoffs for our hockey team, and we went to like a lot of Mets games because the Bingo Mets games because they were like the hottest ticket in town. And those guys, man, they play. I know the MLB plays a lot, but these guys play every single day for like 3 months straight. Then they get like 1 day off, and then they do it again. And they're traveling, and they're not. And I actually think, I mean, don't quote me on this, but I think the pay scale in the AHL is a lot better than what they get in the minor league baseballs, unless you're like a first round draft pick and you've signed like a big ticket bonus or something. But
pretty much like everyone in the minor league baseball is making like in between like 1,000 and 1,200 a month.
Holy shit! I mean, that's a month. That's like, dude, that's like that's insane.
No, they had a lawsuit going on that it wasn't even like minimum wage technically.
Yeah, and these guys are like trying to like eat healthy, get a good night's sleep. Like, you got to.
So that's why it's like a crazy difference because I remember like even one kid that I went to school with, like he was called up for like the last month, so he made more money that month that he did like the past 5 years of being in the minor leagues.
No shit! Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's messed up because like all these managing people of these teams, they were likely all athletes or they were huge fans of it. So like when you really kind of like when you think about the actual athlete and you realize what like you're signing their checks and how much they're making, it's like, oh, I want this kid to come up and play for my Major League Baseball team. Like he's one of our best prospects, but he's gonna get no money and live like shit and like have to like it's crazy to me. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, that's why it's like very interesting, and it's like interesting that I haven't seen any just like players in general ever. I never heard anything of them like helping out the minor league systems because they should know how it was.
Oh yeah. So you're saying like almost like a give back from some of these guys that make $400 million. What's the highest contract in baseball? It's insane.
I don't know, like 300 mil, 400 mil.
Dude. That's more than like 3 NHL like payrolls combined.
Yeah, I don't even know the highest. I don't even know who the highest paid NHL player is, but I know it's nowhere close to any other sport.
I would say right now it's probably like Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews or one of those guys who make like 12 a year, and that's like basically like a super contract compared to like some of these baseball and
the craziest thing I was always thinking about last year, I think, or the year before, Kyler Murray, the quarterback.
Yes, yeah.
So he got drafted by the Oakland A's in the first round while he was in college still, and they gave him like a $4.5 million signing bonus. But like I don't know if he had to give that back or he got to keep some of it, but like he was a millionaire while he was in college technically.
And he was still able to play football because the money was coming from baseball, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's unbelievable, dude. I mean, these guys who can do that, man, that athletic ability is insane. Like, I was watching the ESPN 30 for 30 the other day of Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I guess I was too young to really realize it, but I didn't know he was that good at baseball. Like, obviously I knew he was unbelievable at the Hall of Fame football player, but like, he would go back and forth to the Atlanta Braves and like be like one of their best hitters or one of their best fielders. I was like, just crazy.
I think there was one night, I don't know if it was, I think there was one night where he flew, like he played the football game and flew to and played the baseball game.
Yeah,
maybe not the same day, but it was like.
No, you're right. He did. He played baseball in the morning. He played football in the morning in Miami and had to fly to Pittsburgh to play in like the ALCS Game 7. It was insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. You were right. Matthews, he's the highest paid player.
Oh wow, 15.9. Jesus, that's insane.
That's actually really high. I didn't even know hockey was getting that high. I thought.
Yeah, I didn't know. I honestly didn't know he was in the. I didn't know it was that high either. But he's deserving. He's like one of the best goal scorers in the game right now.
Yeah, that's crazy too. How like young they start in the league.
Yeah.
Because wasn't he like he might have been like 19, 20 maybe.
Yeah. I might even say if he got drafted at 18, he was either playing in the NHL at 18 or 19 right away, and I think he scored like 30, 40 goals that year, which is just incredible. I mean, he's such a good talent. I mean, I don't know him. I don't know anything about him really, but other than his skill but you're right. I think the game of hockey in general is just like trending to like a lower or a younger age, because so many of these teams are just stacked with players that are so young. You know, like, you know, if you're in your like your mid 30s now, like if your contract's ending at like 33, 34 for like the majority of guys, it's kind of like I think those are your last couple of years, because guys are coming in the league now and playing at like 19, 20, 21. The game, that's why the game is so fast. You have these young guys who can just fly around the ice 100 miles an hour. It's crazy. The game is trending in a really, really good way.
Yeah, like how hard do you think it is? Like, do you think like to make it out of college, basically?
Actually, make it out of college these days this is the best time ever to be a college hockey player, because the percentage of college hockey players that are in the NHL now is just it's just rising on an upward trend like this. It's like, for lack of a better term, it's hockey sticking to up and to the right, because you know, I think it's because college hockey is just, people are starting to understand like college hockey is a very, very good place to you know, to like hone your skills, get better, get bigger, get stronger. You know, and I think all these NHL teams love the prospects that are coming out of college hockey over the last decade. And right now, there's probably more college hockey players in the NHL than ever. So that's great. That's great. It's great for college hockey. And even and that's not saying anything against like these other leagues. It's just there's even more Canadian kids that would play in the major juniors, what they call, and they're coming to college hockey now. So it's just making it better overall.
Yeah. I think that's better too, just for people's mindset. Because I felt like if you went to college, it was almost like you have a slim chance of going to the NHL now.
Yeah, I mean,
like
listen, back in the day, it was you're back in the day, it was right. I mean, the percentage of guys that made it were like it was way less. But nowadays, there's a lot of college hockey guys that are signing contracts and going to the NHL, or who are getting drafted before they even go to their college, or as they're entering college. You can get, because in hockey you can get drafted in the NHL and then go play your college hockey years, as long as you're not receiving any money, obviously.
Yeah. So that's crazy too. Well, they have your rights for like 3 years, right?
I believe 3 or 4 years, and then you know, and if you never sign, like case in point, there's a kid on the Rangers now. His name is Fox, last name Fox. He was drafted by a different team, played his like 3 or 4 years at Harvard, never signed, and then the rights of the team that owned him, they had to like drop him, so he went and signed with the New York Rangers. He's a New York kid, so it just kind of, and I think that's playing the system a little bit. But at the end of the day, like if you kind of, you know, it's their fault for not signing him earlier. Now he's and he's going to be a star now, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. What about how did you get signed?
So basically, after my college senior season, I signed with an AHL team called the Springfield Falcons, and they were associated. They were the minor league team for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So I went there and I played. So I left school for like 3 weeks and I went and I played with them to wrap up their season. And then I ended up going back to school and graduating and everything and walking in the ceremony and everything. But what happened was I was never drafted. So I wasn't owned by any NHL club. So I was basically what you call a free agent. Even though I didn't sign out of school with an NHL contract, but I signed up for the American League team. And then over that course of the summer, I was talking with them again, and I was talking with Ottawa Senators, and they ended up signing me to an AHL contract. So I reported to training camp with Ottawa. Actually, the first year there was no training camp because NHL was in a lockout. But the next couple of years, they kept re-upping my AHL deal. So we report to their training camp, and then basically get sent down to the American Hockey League and play there. But that was kind of my story leaving school. But it was a stressful time because like I wanted to keep playing hockey, but like there wasn't like crazy amount of teams on me. There was like maybe 2 or 3 teams that were interested in signing me to an AHL deal to see how I would do in the American Hockey League, not just so yeah, it's kind of how it happened.
Yeah. What about you? So you got to go to like training camp with the pro team? I meant the NHL team.
Yeah. So I went to a couple of training camps with the Ottawa Senators, and that was just like a really cool experience because you report up there, and main training camp's such a great time, and it's like it's fun too because you do like a day or two of testing. You do a day of like media stuff, and then you're kind of right into like full on practices and scrimmages, and then they start doing like preseason games against other NHL teams, and it was just an absolute blast being up there, being around like some of the best guys in the game, like see how these guys operate every day in and out of the rink. They're just such good like consummate professionals. It's freaking so cool to see. Like you had Eric Carlson and Jason Spezza in Ottawa, and it was just fun to like be on the ice with them, like those guys are like generational talents. It was so much fun. Yeah. Good experience to be up there.
Yeah. So you played 5 pro years, right?
Yeah. Altogether 5 years. Got cut short a little bit at the end. I had a shoulder surgery. I tore my pectoral and my biceps muscle. And to be honest, I was thinking about like, moving on and kind of, entering the real world because I was in the minors and I hadn't ever been called up, and I didn't really think I wanted to do like a long tour in Europe of playing hockey. So I just kind of was like, if this thing heals and I get ready and I'm ready to go to camp, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. And then I wasn't getting a lot of love from a lot of teams, especially an injured older AHL player. So it kind of just fizzled out after 5 years, but man, it was a great run. So many friends, so many guys that I still stay in contact with. It was a hell of a run. I really enjoyed it.
Did you played in Austria for like a few games?
Yeah. So I went to Austria. I reported to Austria, this team called Graz, Graz. I think it's pronounced more like Graz. Well, it's in the lower right-hand corner of Austria, which is freaking beautiful country, man. This place is just beautiful. Went over there and so what happened was I was talking to teams in the States and I wasn't getting like the numbers that I wanted on a contract. So I was like, screw it, I'm going to go to Europe. I had some buddies that were over there. So I signed with this team, went over there, reported there in July, and my calisthenic workouts and like all this crazy shit for like every day in and out. We would skate in the morning, we would run, or we would do run in the morning and then skate and then a lift. And dude, this training camp was so grueling. Like I was playing with these like Euro kids, man. They were like, they would skate and they would like throw their like, their running gear on and go for like a 3-4 mile run. I was like, what are you doing, dude? Yeah. Like in the American Hockey League, we would like finish practice and go to Chipotle and like sit around for a couple hours. So like here is like, but it was fun. I played like, what happened was I played about maybe 3 or 4 or 5 games, whatever. I don't even really know how many I played there. And then I ended up getting a call from my agent that said like, hey, I know you're over there right now, but this team back here in the American Hockey League, they need some defensemen for their American League team. Like, how do you feel about coming back? And then if you want to go back to Europe the year after, we can. Like, we should bolster up your resume with American Hockey League games in the States, and then maybe we can go back over to Europe if you still want to do that. So I said, yeah, screw it. Let's go back to the USA. I'll play in the American League, and it kind of didn't go the way I wanted it to. That year in the American Hockey League was a tough year for me. I signed there. They got some guys that were healthy that came back from injury. They had some really good young, prospects that ended up playing over me a little bit. And then I didn't get the looks that I needed to go back to like a really high level in Europe. But looking back, that's one mistake I did make. I wish that that's one thing that I really wish I saw through. I wish I finished that year out and see where the next year could have taken me. But it's all good. I still got some more AHL games under the belt, which is made me happy, I guess.
So what about you? Still have that itch to play? Kind of feel like you kind of do.
Oh, dude, man, if you took me a contract right now, I'd probably sign it. I get the itch to play so bad. I play in a lot of leagues around here. There's a lot of good like men's leagues and just guys who are up for a good skate. So, dude, I don't think the itch will ever leave. Like every time I walk by my gear in the basement, or I skate one night and you go have a beer with the guys, you shoot hockey, you're shooting the shit about hockey like this, you get the itch to play so bad. And the scary thing is like my brain actually thinks that I can go and play, which is like crazy because like I'll probably get my ass handed to me in an AHL game right now. These kids would be flying by me, but I don't know. I guess as an athlete, you never want to say die, right? Like it's kind of like one of those things.
What about what was I gonna say? Oh, have you ever played in like a beer league game and you're just like way more elite than these people?
Well, I mean, right now, most of the beer leagues I'm playing in, I'm more elite than a lot of these guys because like they're older guys with families. They're like, they don't have time to work out anymore. So going to play a beer league game is just like, a good sweat for them. Whereas like, I'm only a couple years out of hockey. I'm still buzzing around, but don't get me wrong, man. There's some guys in the beer leagues around here that are like, have some badass resumes, like really good. There's a bunch of ex-NHL guys, a couple of college guys, and it's fun to play with them, right? Like they all been in my shoes a couple years out of hockey where they were buzzing around. And then all of a sudden, you have a kid, your work starts taking over. Then before you know it, like, you're only skating like 10 times a year, some of these guys. So it is funny, but I mean, for example, so I play in this, I work in Stamford, Connecticut. So I play in this Darien, Connecticut, men's league. And one of the guys on our team is Alexei Kovalov, and I know you know him. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame hockey player, has played over 1,000 games, had probably 1,000 points, and he comes and plays with us, man. And he's like the most skilled. He was, I think, voted like one of the most skilled players to ever play in the National Hockey League, and he comes out and skates with us, and he's so damn good. Right? He won a cup with the Rangers in 1994. He won a cup with Pittsburgh, I think, in like 91, whatever year that was. And then he played with Montreal. He was all over the place, dude. But he was, I'm giving you like the best player that comes out and plays, but it's fun. And we get some good skates going. So it's good stuff.
Someone asked, in terms of quarantine workouts, what do you suggest for building legs?
Well, if you have a weight set or some dumbbells, I would say like, lunges, you can hold the dumbbells over your shoulders and just do, I think the two best leg builders are lunges and squats, right? So if you're able to do some of those, if it's just body weight, I would say maybe do some squats and then some lunges and lunge jumps. I think jumping, out of a squat position is a great leg builder. Definitely sprints build your legs and they get you nice and lean, but there's going to be nothing better for you than doing jumps, lunges, stuff like that.
Yeah. And then tell me how you got into coaching. I know you told me last week, but
yeah. So I've been asked to coach a bunch of different times, but, and I do, I like coaching a lot. But the way I got into coaching this past season was, I took a new job and I'm working at this financial services firm. And And my boss, who actually is the CEO of the company, Keith McCullough, he's an awesome dude. He played hockey at Yale. He's a Canadian-born guy. He has a 12-year-old kid and so basically he came up to me and he was I think we were playing golf. We were having some beers, and he was like, "Hey, listen, man, I would love for you to come and coach with me. Like, you were a defenseman. My boy's a defenseman. It would be great to have you on the bench with us, on the ice and practice with us, like giving back kind of thing." So I was like, "Yeah, for sure, man. Like, I'd love to do it." I mean, you're going to tell your CEO, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not going to, like, you just hired me. I'm going to say no." You know, and I think in my interview, we talked more about hockey than what I knew about finance anyways. So getting involved with this team was great. Like, these guys, these kids they're good, man. They're good. They're young. They're hungry. They love hockey. You know, I'm the youngest coach on the ice with them, so I kind of talk a little shit to them, but they love it. You know, I teach them the dirty stuff of the game, and I think they love it. So it's good, man.
Yeah, I forgot who asked the question, but if you see it, Jason Torrey put some workout right there.
Oh yeah. Oh, Big Lal's on here. Bilal Dixon. I played that up. He played Providence basketball. I think today might be his 30th birthday. So if you are listening, Lal, happy birthday, brother.
Hey, happy birthday.
Yeah, he was a hell of a basketball player. Derek DeBlois, Michigan hockey, absolute stud. I played in the minors with him for a bit. Torrey, J-Tor, man. J-Tor, post your workouts for these people. They want big legs, so help us out here.
Yeah, talk about like more just like.
Oh, Matt Berglund joined. I played at Providence with him. He's a beauty. He's probably drinking beer. What time is it? Bergie, give me a thumbs up if you're listening. You're drinking a beer already. I know you are. Or you're skipping work and playing Call of Duty. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Yeah, what about like all the connections and just like the friendships you made over the years through hockey? Like how'd that like impact you? I'm sure you have lifelong friends from it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think some of my best hockey buddies are from some of my best friends are the guys I played hockey with. You know, I think there's a special bond between like someone who you actually played with for a long time and or even a season or even half a season or whatever it may be, and you know, you're kind of all going through the same thing, right? You're all struggling together. So I think that goes hand in hand. But it's funny, like even kids that I played like youth hockey with are still some of my best buddies, and we go out for beers and play golf together and go to Ranger games together, whatever it may be. You know, it like you know what I mean. It's just like you create this bond, like, and at the end of the day, it's like I did that my entire life, so it's easier for me to like connect with those guys. And what's awesome too is like once you go on and play college and pro, a lot of the kids that you play with or live with are from all over the country, maybe even the world. Like I have a best buddy from hockey. He plays in the NHL now, but he's from Sweden. So there's going to be one day in time where he's probably going to move back to Sweden full time. Guys in Canada, Western Canada, and you know, Western states. So guys are everywhere, but you always stay in touch. It's great. Yeah, some of my best buds.
Sure. Somebody asked how many gator pulls can you do these days?
Well, I'll give you a quick story about that. We had this guy on my college hockey team, Justin Gates. He was one of our goalies, and he was absolutely jacked. He was like so freaking strong. So gator pulls were something that he invented before I ever saw it on a CrossFit thing. You know, in CrossFit where you can pull yourself up and go immediately into like a over the bar like dip. Yeah. He was doing those in college. He was repping them out like 10 at a time. So then it became a challenge in the weight room to see who could do it. And I think I was only able to do like one or two at once. But this kid, Justin Gates, man, he was a beast. He could do like probably like 10 to 12 of them. If Matt Berglund asked that question, Matty, I don't even know if you could do one.
What about last serious question? What advice would you give to like a young hockey player?
God, best advice. I would just kind of say like, you know, I would say two things. I would say one, like, you know, make sure you're just absolutely loving the game and have fun with it. Like go to the rink with a smile on your face and work your ass off when you're out there. Because I mean, you never really know, like, you know, how far you're going to make it or those are good times. Like you're with your buds, that you're having out, you're going for a good skate. And I would just say, make sure you really love it and try to find, and don't take it, don't like, don't take like the criticism or the coaches yelling at you too seriously. Just go have fun. And the second thing I would say, if you're like a serious young hockey player and you're trying to like learn the game better, watch hockey. Like turn on the NHL when the season's back and live and watch games. Like watch what your favorite players are doing with the puck. Like yeah, that's the best way to learn, man. You just got to watch and listen and see what these guys are doing. And that's my advice to all these young kids. Like, I don't know what to do with the puck when I'm in this situation. It's like, okay, what I want you to do every single night is watch your favorite team and your favorite player when he's on the ice and just study him. Like ISO cam him and watch every single thing he does with the puck. And man, you can learn a lot just by watching of these guys, you know? So
yeah, for sure.
That's probably my advice.
Actually, I forgot to ask you too. What was the transition like going from like pro to like basically you got an office job?
Oh, dude, it was like cutting off one of my legs, dude. It was just like it was devastating. But it took like a good year to like get used to like not being in the routine of like waking up, getting your body ready for a practice, doing a workout, and then by the middle of the day, like all you're thinking about is like, am I going to be able to like work out today, or am I going to get home at like 8 o'clock and like not burn any? But because you have so much of this built up like pent up energy just coming out because you're used to doing something every day, so you're just kind of hoping you can. But it takes a little bit, but I think someone told me like such a cliche. They're like, well, your brain's a muscle too, so like you have to really learn how to concentrate for a couple hours. I'm like, okay, dude, like I'll try it, but it's like shut up, man. It's like, but it is true, I guess. At the end, when you think about it, and
Oh yeah, were you like going through your last like maybe 2 years? Were you like mentally preparing or like thinking about like that you were gonna get a job?
Probably not my last 2 years. I think like once that starts creeping into your head too much, it's like it's almost done. I think once I got injured and I think recovering that summer took a long time to get better. I think that's when I was kind of like, man, like, am I gonna go back and play like in the East Coast League or the minors and like the minors and try to like work my way back up, or what do I do? And I just kind of like fell into something that I thought would be a good career choice, which I actually ended up hating. And then it took me a little bit to find this job that I'm doing now. I think I knew that like the time was coming, and like I kind of just started wrapping my head around it and like kind of like researching things that I would maybe be interested in. So that's kind of best way I can answer that one.
Yeah, and that's actually when we were talking about before. That's the benefit of playing 4 years. Also, is getting your degree.
Dude, yeah, totally. So many guys that I played with that were just like like major junior guys. Like keep saying Canada, but guys who did not go to college are like. They would always say to guys like me, myself, and my guys who play college hockey, they'd be like, "Oh man, you are so lucky. You have a college degree to fall back onto. Like, that's great. So." Or
like even if you go 3 years and then you'd have to go back. Like I can't even imagine like going back. Like I can't even imagine. Like I interviewed some guys and I forgot who it was, and they were talking about. Oh, it was a soccer guy. He was talking about he only had like a couple classes left, but he had to go because it was like a lab class, so he had to go in person.
Could you imagine?
Like,
oh my God!
It was just like, I can't even imagine sitting in a classroom at this point.
Well, I have a funny story about that. Like one of the best guys I ever played with. He's like just like the coolest dude going. His name is Hugh Jessman. First of all, he's like 6'6". You can't miss him in a crowd. He's just gigantic, and he played college hockey at Dartmouth for 2 years, and he like absolutely tore it up there. He was really good. And then what happened was he went to, so he never finished Dartmouth. So then he went and played pro for like 9 or 10 years. He had a great pro career. I think he finished up overseas somewhere in Russia or so in Europe or something. But anyways, when he came back, he went back to Dartmouth, and he got his degree at Dartmouth. So. But just like you said, he had to go to school there. He was on campus, like,
and then Ivy League too.
And he was like 31 or 32. He was 33. He's back at school, and he ended up like, he tells me like the funniest stories because he's like, dude, I was like partying with like all, and now sometimes I'll go out with him in the city, And like, I'm like, dude, how do you guys know Hugh? And they're like, oh, well, we went to Dartmouth with them. And I'm like, oh, you guys play together? They're like, no. He came back and he was just like a regular student. And we were at school there. And I was like, dude, that's the funniest like idea, right? Like he came back 10 years later, finished up his Ivy League degree, and he actually helped coach there too. So that's a funny story. And he's got some,
it's funny. Imagine that, the Ivy League too, and then that's the high level. You gotta
totally
put your brain back on. Someone asked, or Matt asked, how did you deal with the mental side of calling it quits and not ultimately playing in the NHL?
Well, I mean, I think the NHL was always like a dream. I don't know exactly how close I was. I mean, I think that I always said, like, if you take a lot of AHL players and put them into NHL games, you wouldn't even really notice anything bad. You know, they would go out there and they'd be able to perform, and that, you know, maybe 5 games they're a little sloppy, but by 10, 20, 30 games you give them, I bet you they fit in pretty well. You know, sorry, what was the question? Like, how do I feel about calling it quits?
Yeah, so how do you deal with the mental side of it, calling the quits?
Yeah, I think you know, I think the best thing you can do is just like, once you move on, you kind of accept that you move on, and you just like go on, and you find other things that make you happy. That's like, so for me, like coaching was one of them, and you pick up new hobbies, and you pick up you know, I'm not that good at golf, but I try to go out there and swing the clubs, but like, you know, it's I don't think there's ever an easy way to say, okay, I'm done. But there's ways that you can stay involved in hockey and give back to hockey. I mean, like, there's not a day that I don't watch a hockey game and I'm like, oh, gosh, I wish I was out there still. But you know, it's there's less than 1% of people that get to actually like live on their dream and play at the National Hockey League. You know?
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. Like AHL is just like, I think it's above like comparison to AAA. Like I think it's like above AAA baseball. Like, cause it's like legit, like you said, like, I think you're right. Like you could put those guys and you wouldn't really notice.
Yeah, totally. I definitely agree with that. And many people have said that to me before. It's like, you know, how would you fare if you played in this game right now, you know, Rangers versus, and I'm like, well, I mean, maybe game 1 wouldn't go unbelievable, but if you give me like 10 minutes of ice and in a position where I can like excel a little bit out there with good players around me, and you know, 1 game, maybe it's okay, you know, but by 10 games, a little bit more comfortable. You give me 20, 30 games, I'd say I'd probably do decent. And I'm just saying, but what I mean is, like, there's a lot of guys with way better resumes than me that never got a chance, that if they did, I'm sure they would do unbelievably well. Yeah.
Yeah. What about that? Has there ever been somebody that you played with that like never got called up, but you were like, how is this guy not getting called up?
Oh man, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
You know, there's guys that are like so good, so skilled, get a lot of points, whatever it may be. And you're just like, how is this guy not up there? The reason is because these NHL teams, they build their clubs to be like, you know, a lot of times they like, you know, like a defenseman who can run the power play. And if you're in the American Hockey League and they have a guy in the NHL who's already doing that, and you're that guy in the American Hockey League, guess what? You're not probably going to go up unless they need a guy like you. A lot of times they might not call up the leading scorer. They'll call up like a guy who's like just a big, strong, like winger or center who can win a defensive draw face-off, rather than like the small guy who can score 30 goals a year, because they need to feel that they're building a lineup that helps them win games, like kind of like a Moneyball-esque for hockey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Someone said, Danny, how did you train to get so good looking?
Making me blush over here. No, I don't think that's the case here. I am lucky that in hockey that I kept all my teeth. I got hit in the mouth a couple times, but never knocked any teeth out. Couple facial scars, but you know, chicks dig scars, right?
Yeah.
So, but thank you, whoever said that. That's nice of you.
What do you like to do for fun?
Oh man, these days, well, it's coming up on spring. So I actually do a lot of fishing. I love fishing. I do both saltwater and freshwater. I fish I'm kind of near the Long Island Sound, so I go over there sometimes. I go out to Montauk fishing. I fish wherever I can. I have been playing more golf as when the summer and spring come around, I'll get out there. And then, you know, I try to work out quite a bit. I started doing like some, it's not as crazy with like the weightlifting anymore because you did a lot of that shit in college and just like it's monotonous, but I do like going to gyms where you could like, you know, hit a boxing bag or, you know, hit a heavy bag or anything like that. What else? I'm trying to think one more thing that's kind of cool. Going to the bar. I miss going to the bar.
Oh, yeah, can't do that right now. What about like, do you ever want to be like a head coach somewhere?
It's a good question. If I had the opportunity to like be a college head coach somewhere, that would be like unbelievable. But I think the way I'm kind of going with my career, I think the only head coach I'll be is just like, you know, a head coach to my kids, a head coach maybe for like another youth hockey team. But I don't know if I'm going to go the coaching or junior hockey, like college hockey or coach or junior college hockey coaching route. Just I think that's kind of out of the cards for me right now. But yeah, you never know. Like
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
That's why I don't like the questions when they say, "Oh, where you going to be in 5 years?" And I'm like, I don't really want.
Yeah, dude,
so
I have no idea.
I want to take it day by day. I say maybe next year I'll have a goal for next year, but not like 5 years.
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. It was great. I think the people liked it. So,
man, thanks.
We'll definitely be talking. Yeah, again, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It was good. We had a conversation on the phone the other day. I know that went really well, and you know, I got some insight about like kind of what you're doing and PG Sports, and you're doing a great job. And I hope that you can kind of like switch the trend here with hockey players and get them like more focused or kind of build the hockey brand for some of these guys because I think there's a lot of cool characters out there that are on the end. But you know, success and everything that you do with your business and yeah, have me on again, or maybe I can get some of my hockey buddies on here and we'll have a convo, man. It's all good. I enjoyed it though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm waiting for Instagram to do the three-way because then I think they're gonna create it just because everyone's going live now because of the virus and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be pretty interesting and cool. I think that'll be cool if they get the three-way going.
Oh, I think that'd be sick, man. You get some. You can have like a sports speed dating on. Just have like one guy after another, just rip questions by. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
But hey, good stuff, brother. Cool. Appreciate you having me on, man.
All right. We'll be talking.
Take care. See you guys.
See you.